Scenes like this always bring a smile to my face. Look at Cap. Watch him cringe as they go over the waves. Look at his buddy in the passenger seat, smiling and laughing, having a blast the entire time. This visually lets you know that one of these guys owns the boat, the other one's just there for a good time, but it often makes you question, which one is the better way? I mean, sure, if you own your boat, you can go out whenever you want and do the things you want to do, no matter what the situation is. It's your boat. If you want to get out there in the water and have a good time, by all means you can. The problem with that is that comes with the headaches of boat ownership as well, as compared to if you just have a buddy who owns a boat and enjoys getting out on the water quite frequently. That means you can probably get out there in the water and enjoy some boat time without dealing with any of the major headaches that come with boat ownership. Heck, you might really get off cheap only having to pitch in for gas here and there, maybe buying your buddy a beverage every once in a while on the weekend, and if you're a really good friend, getting out there and just helping him clean the boat every once in a while will probably get you a long way as to getting out there and getting an invite every time he's on the water. But some of the things you'll miss out on will be those major maintenance headaches and some of the other problems that come along with owning a boat, which means you can really get away without all the stresses of boat ownership, but still being able to get out there and enjoy that time on the water. Anybody who's a boat owner will tell you there are plenty of stressful situations that come with boating. Anywhere from getting the boat launched into the water or making sure that it's even going to start every single time you want to go out there and use it, all can be major headaches. And then even on top of that, if you've got a boat and you're not keeping it in a slip somewhere, you've got to find a way to get it down there, which means you're going to have a proper tow vehicle on top of the boat ownership, which adds extra maintenance, extra care, and in many cases, extra cost. A lot of times you'll have to buy a vehicle that wouldn't necessarily be the vehicle you would buy if you didn't own the boat. In fact, I know that one applies to me, and it may apply to you. Let me know in the comments if you'd be driving a different car if you didn't have a boat. And then on top of all that, you've got the stress of being responsible for everybody on the boat when you get out there on the water, and of course being responsible for the boat itself. You just never know when things are going to go awry out on the water. And as a captain, that's one thing you learn pretty quickly, is how to pick your crew that you're going to bring with you to try and reduce the stress that comes with being out there on the water. So if you're one of those people who doesn't want to own a boat but would like to get out there on the water, that's what you need to do. Be that crew member that the captain wants to invite every single time he goes. By being that person, you highly increase your chances of enjoying days out there on the water. There are several ways to do this. You can be that person that is willing to jump in no matter what and help when it comes to getting things done around the boat. Whether it's trying to retrieve an anchor or helping clean the boat at the end of the day, you'll be surprised at how far that will take you on getting back to being invited back on the boat. Because if you're making the captain's day easier, he's more likely to bring you back on. And of course, every single time you're invited on the boat, always offer gas money. Every captain's a little different. Many times captains won't take it, they won't even touch it, but at least the fact that you offered always shows that effort that you're willing to go above and beyond. Now this does go a couple different ways as well though. Always make sure you're picking the right captain to do these things for. The last thing you want to do is go too overboard on what you're willing to do on the boat, and the next thing you know, you might be out there diving 20 foot down for stern anchors because the captain's decided, that's my go-to, I'm going to let this guy do everything out here. So there still is a fine line. Even as a person who doesn't own a boat, you want to make sure you pick the correct captain, because the last thing you want to do is be going out there on the water with one of those Guggen captains, because things can go wrong pretty quickly on those vessels as well. So just because you're invited on the water, even if you enjoy being out there, even as just a passenger, always know who you're going with. And if you don't think that captain's the right person, don't hesitate to say no, because I promise you, the captain won't hesitate to say no, kind of like the situation here. You mess something up bad enough once, in all likelihood, captain's not inviting one of these two back onto the boat, and one of them, he's got a free ride forever going after this one. Now, while I know the crew should be selective for the captain they're going out with, the captain probably even needs to be more selective of the crew he's taking, because taking the wrong crew can mean more than just things going lightly wrong on the boat. For example, this situation, somebody brought a crew member out who's decided to go up to the top deck, take pictures of a nearby cruise ship and other things going on, and while doing so, he winds up hitting the controls of the boat. You've always got to have people with you, especially if you leave them alone on the boat, who know exactly what's going on and what they need to pay attention to. And you always want that crew that is willing to get in and help. We've all been out on the boat, had those people where things have gone wrong, you've asked them to do something, and they were unwilling to really participate. For a captain, the ideal crewmate is that one they can bring out on the water with them and they already know what to do. Some of the biggest mistakes we see made in boating actually do come from the captain, but having crew that doesn't know what to do, but I still blame the captain on this one. Typically they would jump in and help, so long as the captain would actually say something to him and direct him on what to do. But that's why sometimes having a crewmate who comes out on the boat with you and already knows their role, already knows their job, really changes the game, because they're already, as you approach the dock, getting lines ready, getting fenders out, and know where and how to jump into action if things go wrong. And again, as a crew member who's looking to go out with a boater, these are things you can learn. If you learn a specific task or job, or when you need to jump in without being prompted by the captain, you make yourself invaluable out there on the water and basically guarantee your spot on the boat every single time. Kind of like this situation here. Captain's having a tough time getting this boat docked. All of a sudden drifted back into another dock and other boats. Well, the crewmate he has with him knew her job, stepped right in, took a role, took action, and is making sure they get pushed off the boat behind them that they've slid into, even though Cap didn't have to tell her what to do. Now, in this situation, Cap probably could have had a little better control over the boat, but things will go wrong from time to time, and having crew members that know what to do obviously helps. Now, back to the main moral of this story though, is it better to own a boat or have a friend who has a boat? And the reality is it just depends on the person. And it goes with many different factors. One, do you have the money to afford a boat? If not, find a friend that has one or try and befriend somebody who has one. Boats can be expensive. Now, I do admit they're only as expensive as you want them to be, but there's always additional costs. It's not just buying the boat. It's going to be buying the boat, doing the maintenance, making sure you have tow insurance, you have insurance on the boat, you have the proper tow vehicle, and all these things add up pretty fast. And if you're that person who does have the money and you want to get out there and boat whenever you can, when it's convenient for you, yes, buy the boat. But if you're that person who really thinks you're only going to boat a few weekends a year, you're only going to get out there when you've got a little free time. You've got kids that play every single sport. They're busy with school, you're busy with work, and many other things going on. You're probably going to find out you're not going to use that boat, one, the way you think you are, or two, nearly as often as you think you will. And that's another one of those situations where even if you have the money to go out there and buy that boat you want, doesn't necessarily mean you should just go and pull the trigger. You might be better off just waiting and finding that friend that has one, because the longer you let a boat sit, the more things that can go wrong, and all of a sudden, those costs wind up adding up and becoming a lot more than you originally anticipated. One of the worst things you can do with a boat is have one and let it sit and not be used. Now, of course, you can go out there and hire the pros to get in on that boating action if you want, or maybe you'll even just want to stay on shore, but those don't always go as planned as well. But thanks for watching, crew. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Adam Coolidge, Amber Ray, Bryn DC, Crafting Chris S. Charters, Coldwater Marine, and Mr. Peacock did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.